Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're frustrated, your blood pressure rises, you lose your cool, you get angry, you say and do things that you don't actually mean. But then later in the day, you realize, I'm kind of embarrassed. I was getting angry over things that I really had no business being angry about. This was something stupid to lose my cool over. I shouldn't have been mad. Walking through the Skyways on our way to lunch, I'm chatting with a good friend of mine, Mark. During the course of our conversation, Mark tells me about Curtis's promotion. But I don't feel happy for Curtis. I can't help it. I get some kind of weird combination of jealousy and anger. Why does Curtis deserve a promotion? I'm just as qualified as he is. I'm more qualified than he is. Where's my promotion? So I changed the conversation. I made this about me. I talked about how the world was unfair. What about me? But later on in the day, I actually realized that I'm quite embarrassed. I turned what could have been a good lunch with one of my closest friends into a complaining session. I got angry, I got envious. But for what? Curtis and I don't even work for the same company. His promotion doesn't impact me. It's not like he got a promotion and I couldn't get a promotion. It literally doesn't matter, not to my well-being, and it's outside of my control. I can't do anything about his career path. I can't do anything about the hiring managers in his interviews. This was something stupid to get mad at. And I lost out on a conversation with a close friend of mine because of it. So Curtis's promotion doesn't really matter, not to me. What does matter to me is my relationship with Mark. And I swept that aside to focus on this gossip. It was in my control to have a good conversation with Mark, but I chose to focus on the wrong things. I don't think I'm alone in this. I think this is very common. I think it's very easy to focus on the things that don't matter to us, mostly because a lot of us don't actually know what matters to us. We don't know what kind of life we want to design. And a lot of our suffering is worrying about things that are outside of our control. So getting clear about what matters to you and what is in your control, it's not easy, but it's worth it. Find out more right after this. Hey, thanks for joining me. This is Derek Hagan. I'm a financial therapist, and I'm here with another Money Health presentation where we're going to talk about things you can control and things that matter and why you should focus on that intersection. There are things for which we have control and things that we don't have control of. Getting crystal clear of the things that are in our control will help us. This is just level one. It will help us greatly reduce a lot of negative emotion. But if we mix that in with things that matter, now we can focus on that sweet spot. We need to focus on the things that matter and the things that we control. So let's first talk about things that matter. What are the things that actually matter? The things that matter are the things that impact you. Does this actually impact you? What matters is what kind of a life you're trying to design. What are your personal values? What's important to you? What are your life aspirations? That's the things that matter. It's far too easy to ruin our day because of things that are outside of this circle. Things that are outside the realm of things that matter. Something like the speed of a checkout line, or what traffic was like, or what your neighbor said or did. Like those things don't actually matter, but it's too easy to let them impact us. But layered on top of things that matter, we have to get clear about what we can control. And what we can control are things that we can actually impact. We can control our mindset. We can control our actions, our behaviors. We can control our reactions to things, our responses. We can choose what we want to talk about. Things that are outside our control are things that other people say and do. We can't control that. We can control how we respond to that. We can't control outcomes. The ultimate hiring decision of a promotion, for example, is outside of our control. How much we prepare for that interview is in our control. But we have to get crystal clear about those things that are in our control. And when we do that, we're going to be in a much better place. Now, there are things, when you look at both of these together, that matter, but are outside of your control, right? So it's in the things that matter circle, but it's outside of the things you can control circle. And there's quite a few of these. This could be stock market returns. You could argue that matters. Higher returns will make it likely that I can retire sooner, for example, or that I can afford more financial goals, if you like that term. We can't control where interest rates are. We can't control what the unemployment rate is. We can't control the state of the economy, even though it could be argued that those things matter. So what our boss thinks of us, what our coworkers think of us, these things matter, and those are maybe partially in our control. We can influence, so in this black zone, we can influence things like how we carry ourselves at work, but ultimately, their opinion of us is outside of our control, even though it matters. So there are things that matter, but if we can't control it, it's not really worth worrying about. Now, on the other side of this coin, there are things that are in our control, but don't really matter. Let's talk about your social media use. Panic scrolling. How often you're posting, how many likes you get on social media. These things you have control over, but they don't actually matter. Not in the grand scheme of things, not even in a small scheme of things. So just because we have control doesn't mean it matters. Right? So the waitress or the waiter brought you the wrong dish. You can control your response to that. You can control whether or not you get angry. But it doesn't matter. You got the wrong dish, so what? They'll bring you the other dish. So we have to not only be clear about things that actually have to matter, so it needs to be in this circle, but it also has to be in this circle, things you can control. That's why we're looking at that sweet spot there. There's going to be a lot of things that are in neither of these circles. It's not in the things that matter circle. It's not in the things that you can control circle. They don't matter, and we can't control them even if they did. How do your neighbors spend their money? What kind of car did they just buy? What kind of vacation did they just go on? Who cares? This is literally the worst thing. This is like Curtis's promotion for me. Right? This is outside of the control, and it doesn't even matter. These things are not worthy of your attention. And I can even make the claim that unless it's in this dark overlap zone, it's not worth your attention. But if it's in neither of these, it's definitely not worth your attention. So focus on the intersection. It has to matter. You have to be able to control it. It's not going to be easy to hijack your ants, your automatic negative thoughts. It's not going to be easy to tell yourself, wait a second, I don't have control of this, or this actually doesn't matter. But it's worth it. Your good life lies in that intersection. Right? Focus on the things that matter. Focus on the things you can control. You have my permission to stop wasting your life on things outside of this overlap zone. Again, it's not easy, but it is simple. Practice. Start making strides. Just be aware. Just be aware that there are things that are in your control and things that are outside of your control. Just be aware that there are things that matter and things that don't matter. But you have to be the one to decide what matters. Align your use of money with what's important to you. Your time and attention are limited resources. Don't give them away. And that's Good Money Health.